Mic check 1 2 1 2. All right, what's going on, everybody? While last week there was some controversy about the Oklahoma Sooners quarterback Kyler Murray, the reigning and recent winner of the Heisman Trophy, a lot of people were questioning the validity of his being able to play in the NFL due to his size. Some people were saying he was somewhere between the height of 5'8" and maybe 5'9". And as it turns out, he's actually closer to 5'11". He measured in at 5'10" and 1/8". And then they went on ahead and measured his hands as if they needed even more information to validate whether or not he should be drafted higher in the draft by measuring his hands. And his hands came in at a little bit above average of 9.5. Now my hands are about 8.5. So to see him come in at about 9.5 makes me feel like he's closer to me than than most people. But whatever the case is, my point today is this, and the reason why I'm making this video is, what's wrong with these NFL scouts? Don't they believe their eyes? Don't they believe what they see? I mean, this dude is making plays after play after play after play. And I know he showed out against Alabama in that playoff game, and maybe he didn't do as much in the beginning, but later on, as that game progressed, he was balling out just like he did against everybody else in the country. He won the Heisman Trophy for a reason. And I think that's the main reason why he decided not to throw during the combine. Yeah, sure, he allowed them to make some measurables on his height and his hands, but he decided not to throw. And you know what? I don't blame him, because he's a Heisman Trophy winner. He got two sports chasing after him, two different sports, who are willing to throw a lot of money at him. And he realizes and recognizes his value. He's a Heisman Trophy winner. He makes plays, and he knows what he's capable of. And he knows what's on that tape. He's 5'10" and 1/8", and he's dropping dime after dime after dime. He knows what that tape is showing. He can make every throw. He can put touch on the ball as well as velocity. He can spin it, as they say, with the best of them. And I just don't know what these NFL scouts are worried about. I mean, don't they trust their eyes? Don't they trust what's on the tape? It's really strange. Now, you got to inject some common sense in this. Let's go to the NBA. In the NBA, you have the average player, I believe, is around 6'7", 6'8". But you do have some point guards in the league who are around 5'10", 5'11", who are nonetheless very, very capable and thriving as point guards in the NBA. The obvious case is none other than the future Hall of Famer Chris Paul. Now, I consider Chris Paul to be like the Phillip Rivers of the NBA, and I would have to explain what I mean by that in another video. But he is definitely a future Hall of Famer, and no doubt arguably the best point guard of his generation. But dude only tops out at about 5'11". I know they list him at about 6 feet, but he's really about 5'11", maybe 5'10", after a week long of basketball playing on the road. Because sometimes we all do shrink a little bit as the days and the weeks go by before we bounce back. But think about this. Chris Paul, 5'11", playing against the average NBA player of about 6'7". He's constantly dwelling amongst trees. When he gets into the perimeter, the high perimeter behind the 3-point arc, and he can stroke the three, that's one thing. But as a point guard, he has to distribute the ball, and he has to maneuver around into the paint. And when you get into the paint, the defense collapses on you, and he's accosted by guys who are generally about 6, 7, 8, 9 inches taller than him. And yet he's able to manipulate his game and get his shot off. And he's very efficient. And it's not just him. There are other point guards throughout the history of the game that have been able to do that. I mean, look at Allen Iverson, another ball player. By the way, my favorite ball player of all time in the NBA. And I grew up with amongst Michael Jordan in those days. But AI is my favorite player of all time, and I know for a fact he was generously listed at 6 feet. Generously listed. But I know dude was actually around 5'11". But his arms were like that of a guy who was about 6'2". Long armed little nigga. But you look at him and some other great point guards who are undersized. I think about Damon Stoudemire, people like that. People like, I'm not going to go as far as to mention Muggsy Bogues, but other guys like Damon Stoudemire, even in recent times, people like Jameer Nelson, even today, smaller guards like Mike Conley, guys like that. These guys are barely 6 feet. Yet they're able to maneuver around trees and perform at a high level. So I'm saying all that to say this. You look at the NBA today, it's a league that's more about spread offenses and running up and down the floor and getting easy buckets. The NFL is the same thing. Yeah, I know. This might be a bad comparison to some of you. You're saying, well, the quarterback position is not the same as the point guard. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, whatever. But nonetheless, the NBA and the NFL share one thing in common. On offenses, they're trying to spread the field or spread the court and allow the playmaker, which is in this case the point guard or the quarterback, okay, the primary ball handler, to move around and spread the field out and drop dimes wherever he can necessary. That's the mindset. And that's why these scouts should not be worried about KYLER Murray's height. I mean, the dude, not only can he drop those balls and drop dimes wherever he can, he's also lightning fast. I mean, he's faster than lightning on fire, in fact. Shoot. And if things collapse in the pocket, you know he can just slip out and just burst and get into the backfield in no time. So we got to stop looking at the size of things and just look at what really matters is. And that's this. Can the guy play? And I think KYLER Murray is more than proven that he can play. More than proven. He's a Heisman Trophy winner. And I don't care how big his hands are. 9.5, 8.5, whatever. He can drop that ball, fit it in the tight windows, and put it wherever he damn well pleases. Obviously, the only thing of note that it could be a concern is how much punishment can he take. Because as I said earlier, he was listed at 5'10", 1/8", with a hand span of 9.5 inches. As far as weight is concerned, he was weighed in at 207 pounds. 207 pounds, so there might be a minor amount of concern about how much punishment he can take when he gets hit. And he will get hit. He will get hit. But I believe Russell Wilson was weighed in at about 204 pounds when he first visited the combine several years ago before he was drafted. So I think there's not a whole lot to worry about there. Obviously, Russell Wilson is the one person you're going to compare Murray to. And it looks like Russell Wilson's career has worked out pretty fine for him. So that's a good omen for Murray. These scouts, I just don't understand it. They have a tough job. But at some point, you just got to trust your eyes. When a guy can play, he can just play, regardless of his height. And I know that's true because there are a lot of guys who are a lot bigger than Kyler Murray, and they can't play for shit. So, all right, that's all I got for this video. Salute to my man Kyler Murray. I hope you get drafted as high as you can. And I hope you can get as much money as you can. And hey, if it doesn't work out, there's always baseball. Salute to the brother Kyler Murray. Do your thing, man. Do your thing. All right, that's enough for this video. I'm out. Y'all be cool.